Nice to meet everyone. I am Steve Basil. I manage the DevRel team for Google Workspace. Just a little bit about myself. I'll hand it off to David after. I've been at Google for 15 years now. Actually, just hit my 15th anniversary on Sunday. So yeah, been around the block. The vast majority of that time on Google Workspace, even before it was called Google Workspace. And I like to joke that I measure my tenure in product renames because it's been 4 or 5. I'm losing track at this point. One of the things is the last year or so, even though I've worked on a lot of APIs, I've taken over managing the team, so I'm not as hands-on as much as I used to be. So it's going to be a little bit different style talk for me. But fortunately, I get to work with some really amazing people who actually do this stuff for real and are hands-on and know the platform amazingly well. And one of them is David. So,
and my name is David Harcum. I'm relatively new to the DevRel team. I've been in the workspace arena for a couple of years now, but I also am a long tenured Googler. I've been with Google for 10 years this year. I hit mine in June. So the day after my birthday, so I missed a special award for being hired on my birthday by 1 day. One of my ex-colleagues got it, and I was I've always been jealous of him for that. I started out as an acquisition, as an engineering, dealing in the ads arena, serving ads through live video. Moved into customer assistance and customer support, meaning helping customers develop custom solutions, but mostly in the ads platform. And after a number of years in that, I moved into the workspace. So now instead of helping customers develop solutions, I'm helping customers develop solutions. It's just the difference is I'm helping them in the workspace environment rather than integrating into the reporting systems.
Today really is about all of you. And so I just want to get a sense of a little bit more about everyone here and just the types of organizations you're with and why you're here. And so I'm curious, who here is actually uses Workspace and you're a customer and so on? Okay, so that's actually most of you. And is that more, how about people who are more on any administrators, people in IT? Okay, and then how about people are just more I just use it and I want to build stuff for myself or my team, anything like that? Okay, a few of those. And then how about our partners, so software vendors? You build solutions for other people. Okay, so we're all over the place. We've got a really good mix of people. And I mentioned all of you have very different reasons for being here in terms of the things that are important to you in your business, right? And this is. One thing I think that we tend to lose track of, talking about the technology and all the things that are new on the platform is at the end of the day, right? The thing that matters is that you're able to solve the problems that are important for you, right? And that doesn't matter. It can be anything from if you're a customer, you're an administrator for a large pharmaceutical, and you care about compliance and data security and making sure that your cloud footprint is as tight as it can be. Or maybe you're in education, right? And you need to make sure that you're delivering the tools that your staff and your students need so that they can be effective teachers and learners, right? And it can even be down at the personal level of just, hey, as a user, there's something I do that I just want to save some time, right? I want to save some time for myself, for my team, so that I can use that time on something that is something I care about, right? And that's why we're here today, is for all of these use cases. So I love Google Workspace. I use it personally. I use it, obviously we use it at work all the time. Even my daughter's school, she's in elementary school and she's already learning how to create docs and presentations. She actually created a slide presentation for me not that long ago, and it was oh, that's super cool that you could do this, and you're 10. So it's, all this stuff is really amazing. And we have the largest customers from, the most, influential companies in their verticals down to small businesses, school districts around the world, colleges, universities, and they're all using Workspace. And as amazing as the product is, it can't be all things to all people, right? But what we can do is we can give you a platform, we can give you the tools and the APIs and things like AppScript to help you take what is an amazing product and fit it to your needs, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today is the breadth of the platform and all the different things that you can do. So, I mean, that sounds good. But obviously the question is like, well, what does the platform actually allow you to do? Right. So I'm going to hand it off to David, and he's going to talk a little bit more. Again, I said I'm a manager now, so I have to hand it off to the experts.
I think this is called delegation.
Exactly. And it'll talk a little bit more about like actually what does the platform actually offer, and how can you adapt it into what's important for you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Well. Let's dive into what you can do. So with Workspace, the great thing is it is a platform to assist you in integrating your own products into the Google environment. And we have 3 ways to do that easily. You have no code. We have AppSheet. And I see some people with T-shirts that say, please ask me about AppSheet. I'm not quite sure whether that means they know a lot about it or whether they just want to ask them about AppSheet. I'm sure it means that they know a great deal about AppSheet. AppSheet is there, as it says, to do no-code development. It lets you build apps by just dragging and dropping components into the system. And you can even use Gemini to build your AppSheet applications today. You can win big. And you don't need to actually know too much about how the internal workings of Workspace and coding on Workspace functions. You can make things happen. It's great for prototyping solutions. It's great for very simple, very quick applications. Then we've got the low code, AppScript. Now then, Charles already introduced AppScript. Kara is going to go a lot deeper into AppScript in her things. AppScript is a great way of starting out. It's more complex than the no-code solution because you need to know a little bit of coding. But it's also a lot simpler because it hides a lot of the complexity that is hidden behind things like authentication, using APIs, registering pieces. All of that can be hidden for you, and you can just use the service APIs, the service apps to get into the system. Finally, we obviously have the Pro Dev. This uses the extensive APIs. I mean, Google has APIs that talk to all the various pieces of the code. So it doesn't matter whether you're trying to automatically create calendar schedules with meets attached to it, or whether you really want to get into the weeds and start talking to your BigQuery databases or Firebase or anything like that. This is where the Pro Dev goes. You can do Pro Dev using AppScript in the cloud functions and things, but you can also use Python, you can use Java. There's a whole range of languages that you can use. Also, of course, the great thing with the Pro Dev is that it will integrate with your existing infrastructure. I'm obviously talking there about Google Cloud because, well, why wouldn't I? That's why we're here. But if you want to use your existing code on AWS and just talk to the Google Workspace, that's fine. That's fine. Use Azure, use AWS, that's absolutely fine. That's what the APIs are there for. As you go up the stack, this is a key part of the integration, is keeping humans in the loop. It doesn't matter whether you're in sales, marketing, whatever. If you start to think that you're having to leave Workspace to get into what you want to get done, this is why we've added things like Smart Chips, the add-ons, and the chat apps. This means that you can integrate your solution. So the example there with Smart Chips, when you're creating a Smart Chip, and that's a relatively new thing in Workspace, I'm sure everyone's seen these, yes? Everyone's seen Smart Chips? So when you go in, you put your URL and you tab, and it gives you the nice little chip instead. Well, now you can actually put menus on those chips. You can code menus on there. So Zoho is the example there. Atlassian have also done it, where you can start to create an Atlassian task in a chip. But the task isn't there yet. So from the chip, you can right-click on it. You can create the task, and then it will insert the chip linking to the task properly into your document. And what you've done is you've never had to leave the context that you're working in. You've never had to context switch and move into Atlassian and tab backwards and forwards to cut and paste things. It's all there for you in Google Workspace. The add-ons, they allow you to augment Workspace context sensitively within your app. So as an example, here Folgo's using Workspace with the apps in context. You can also use it in adding tickets from the email. So on the right-hand side, you open up the Workspace, and suddenly it knows all about the email that you're talking about, and it can pre-fill your workspace, your ticket information from the email that you're currently looking at. And then you hit save, and suddenly you've got a ticket created, which you can then use elsewhere. Also, of course, and I have to bring it back to this, I think it's in the rules, you can, of course, use Gemini in there. You can use AI in there. So you could use AI to summarize this massive, great email, to look at it and tell you, here's your TLDR of a 16-page email or a big email thread. And it'll just tell you the TLDR, and you can pop that into a document so that you know exactly what's going on. And it will put a link in there in the form of a smart chip that will link you back to the original document. Chat apps are another great addition. These are a way that you can make your applications talk back to the user. So the chat app allows you to, in a more intuitive way, rather than creating a nasty big website to do administration, you can just pop into Google Chat and say, hey, application, please create me a new something. That would lead me into my particular bête noire, which is I'm an engineer. I'm a back-end engineer originally, or integration. I hate designing UIs. I've always been terrible at it because my UIs look like an engineer designed them. They're black and white, and they run from a command line, and they've usually got an insane amount of shell script behind them. When it came to doing a reporting application, customers had to be able to add new reports. And I started trying to write a material design website, and you have to spin up App Engine, and you have to write CSS code, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And then I came across chat apps. And suddenly, the UI is there. It doesn't matter if the guy's on a mobile or if they're on the desktop. It doesn't matter where they are. The UI is there. You just say, hey, report thing, add a new report. Hey, report thing, turn this one off. Show me what reports I've got running. And you can do it all from within chat. And that's also the great thing, which is that the user is in Gmail or in Docs or in Sheets looking at the result of a report, and they don't need to go find my web page. They just open the sidebar and go, oh, turn this report off or add this field. And that's my personal success story with chat apps, is that it made such a difference to making those things work. Of course, we also have security, we have interop, we have management. Mio is a particularly great one. They have a product where they now integrate Slack and Teams and chat. I remember working on that in the early days and thinking this is just absolutely wild because we all had a different thing. I was given a Teams login, and we were popping messages in there and links in there, and they were seamlessly appearing on the guy next to you who's using chat or on the guy down the street who's using Slack, and vice versa. And that was absolutely stunning. Saves you having to jump through several apps. So if your customer is talking on Slack, but you're internally using chat, you no longer have to have two applications open. And again, it's to do with keeping the human in the loop and making it easy for the human to stay in the loop. It's taking away barriers to your innovation and, frankly, taking away barriers from just you working every day. And with that, I will hand it back off to Steve.
When we talk to our partners, particularly like our ISV partners, who's, their motivations are usually a little bit different if you're just doing this for yourself or for your own business, right? It's a lot of benefits. Like, how can I reach my users? How can I, what's the opportunity for us? And Workspace is actually a pretty big opportunity. There's over 3 billion users of Workspace around the world. And this includes consumers, education, and businesses. But of those, there's over 10 million paid customers on Google Workspace. So these people, everything from large financials and pharmaceuticals and tech down to small businesses that can just be right down the street on Mass Ave. But huge opportunity in terms of this. But even if you're not an ISV, you're not selling software, and you're not looking how do I get the most users. The important part here is if you're building something for yourself or for your team or for your company, you are not alone on this journey. The path that you're on, whether or not you're just starting or you've been around and have built stuff before, it is a path that many people have gone down. So you're joining a good community. Oh, 6 million now. What? Oh, is it 6 million now?
Oh.
All right, so even more. So yeah, Marketplace, amazing. Yeah, amazing for internal apps or for commercial apps. And yeah, you can, speaking of, you can see these are some of the, our larger partners that we've been working with over the past few years have built custom solutions. Actually, I think we have some of these are actually here today. I think we have somebody from HubSpot today is here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, been amazing.
Just launched, I think. Either just launched or just launching.
Yeah, and HubSpot's been an amazing partner and super fun to work with. But yeah, lots of solutions for all different verticals, all different industries, different roles. So yeah, if you're a Workspace customer and you haven't actually checked out the Google Workspace Marketplace, please check it out. There are a ton of amazing solutions. In fact, we have one of our most prolific app publishers here today as well, Alice Keeler, who's doing some talks. I think she's up to 32 apps that you've published now. Just totally amazing. So yeah, and has 2 talks today actually. So it's nice to take a step back and say hey, over the last 10 years, we've built an amazing ecosystem of millions of solutions, commercial apps to private things that people are just doing to scratch their own itches. And it's just really nice to just every once in a while just appreciate how far we've come from just when it was the doc list API, right? But even before it was dry, right? Like this stuff has been around for a while and it's been a very long journey, but a really amazing one. So before we kind of wind things down, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's coming. Hopefully without spoiling too much of everyone else's talks, because you have a bunch of really great sessions from PMs and the community and engineers and so on. So we'll go through this lightly, but we're just going to give you a little bit of a hint as to where things are headed. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We are seeing a huge opportunity to reinvent things, a huge opportunity to make users' lives and your lives easier as a result of this technology. I mean, sure, it can get things wrong, but generally speaking, it's a very good tool. So to help users and partners, we're adding 2 new capabilities. We're adding Vertex AI directly into the workspace, which means you can use all that power, all that Gen AI, powering workflows natively from within your workspace applications. And on top of that, we're introducing the Gemini extensions. Now, a lot of these have been announced. You probably heard of these, but they're designed to allow you Gemini access to your platform, your providers, to power your workflows from within there. Could spend hours talking about that. We could spend all day talking about Vertex, and there are conferences that do spend all day talking about that sort of thing. But the important thing to know is it has this massive feature set to streamline and simplify your access to machine learning and your access to the AI facilities of Gemini. It allows you to give simple places to do things like your agent builder, your model builder, creating your own custom models based on Gemini.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, there's a bunch of really good talks later today, Kara and Charles.
The next one, in fact.
And really, so again, just, don't want to spoil any of their stuff, but just, it's more than just the chatbots, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing. Hey, let's build a chat agent. But there's so much more that you can do with LLMs and AI these days. And so you're going to see some really cool use cases of just stuff that's just like, I want that. I want that as a user. Really cool features and really cool ideas.
And if you're thinking of doing that, we'd love to hear your use cases as well, because that's always one of the issues is finding out the use cases. And maybe we can lean on from that.
Oh, absolutely.
To make it more practical, you've got to be thinking about these really 3 things. You've got to think about, can you modify an existing model, or do you have to build your own? Yeah. Building a model is not always easy, but often for your own use, it might be necessary. But for some things, you can maybe just use a model that's already there, especially if you're using something like document classification or sentiment analysis, some of which I've had to do myself in a previous life in Google. And the thought of having to actually create your own sentiment analysis model was awful. And then someone came up with one, and it's like, oh, that's how I analyze the Google My Business reviews for a customer. It's much easier than having to load all the tokens myself. Second, Vertex hosts the Gemini API.
Yeah.
That allows you to natively use all the Gemini LLMs within your workspace, within your apps, your add-ons. And we lead back to, as Charles said, Google's best kept secret, AppScript. You don't need to be a pro developer. You don't need to go into the weeds and use cloud functions or a big server. You can use the serverless AppScript for free initially, aside from your Gemini calls, of course. But all of the AppScript APIs and the REST APIs can be used for free to develop your AppScript workflows.
Yeah, and that's some of the stuff you all brought today is sort of how approachable some of this stuff can be. We're, if you're not an expert, if you're not in that world, it may seem very daunting, but I swear it is way more approachable than most people even realize. And again, some really cool demos coming up about
absolutely.
Just really just awesome stuff you can do.
I'll let you. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll do this one. So we don't want to spoil this one since we have the Meet team here today, and they have some talks on this. But this is one of the hot off the presses things that Meet add-ons just went to general availability, our platform on Monday. So congrats.
Well done, Mike.
Congrats to Mai and Patrick and Jay and Aziz. Amazing team of people. It is a really cool platform. Just really amazing experiences where you can bring we live in video calls. So this is like, for me personally, this is one of the more exciting parts of the platform because we are always on Meet. My entire team, we are spread around the world. We have people in Spain, Toronto, New York, Colorado, Seattle, Orange County, Wales.
Wales, let's not forget Wales.
So again, my entire team, all around the world, we are constantly in video conferences, and the teams that we work with are spread around the world as well. We have New York and Toronto and the Bay Area. Being able to bring collaborative experiences into Meet and just do everything in one place. It's so delightful. Really excited about the how this is going to evolve and the new applications that are going to come out. But I don't want to spoil too much of it. Again, there's a whole talk on it. They'll give you all the fun details. But just big congratulations to the Meet team for getting that out there. And then before we wrap up, so David was sharing a little story about how he was using the chat API to solve a UI problem for him. And I also mentioned there's all different use cases that you can be using the platform for. And they can be huge problems, right? For a multi-billion-dollar organization. It could be something for you and your team. And I want to share one story of how, just in my personal life, I use the AppScript platform and Workspace. For people who've been around here for a while, you may remember a former member of our team, Eric Kalita. Does anyone know who Eric is? Okay, we have one. Okay, so not that many. He's now a Coda, really awesome guy. Eric and I have kids about the same age. And this was many years ago when my daughter was in preschool. Both of our schools happen to use the same technology platform for, it's called Tadpoles. So I don't know if anyone has kids and if you've ever gotten emails from Tadpoles, but it's just a platform that the kindergartens use for sending classroom updates to parents, and it will have, hey, here's what we learned today, here's the activities. And then we would send a whole bunch of photos. And just great photos of the kids, just engaged with each other and playing and learning and so on. Eric had a really great idea. Obviously, he wanted to save all these photos and not just leave them trapped in email. So he wrote an AppScript. And it was a really simple thing. Just every day, certain time, it would go and check to see what new email he got. If it was from his school, it would take all those photos and save them to Drive. Right? So now he has all those photos from his school, pictures of his kids that he could then share with his friends and his family. So he told me about it. I'm like, okay, I want that. Right? And so he shared it to me. It was, again, not terribly complex, probably 150 lines of code, if that. But I was able to go in through and make a couple tweaks to do it the way I wanted to do it and switch to my account. it took me 20, 30 minutes just to get it all up and running, probably not even that long. And then it just runs, right? So, I don't have to sit there and go and manually save all those photos of the ones. I just, every once in a while, pop into Drive, and I have all those photos of that time when she was in school. And, this is not, it's not boiling the ocean. We're not solving world problems, right? But for Eric and his family, for me and my family, that was an important problem to solve. And it was approachable because we have a platform. Because we have things like AppScript, we have APIs for Gmail and Drive and all these other things. So, kind of going back to, the beginning, really, the reason we're all here today is to make sure that the things that are important to you, right, whether or not it's, helping teachers be better teachers or, ensuring compliance or whatever, we want to make sure that you're able to build those things and solve the problems that you need to solve so that you can focus on what's important for you.